Okay. Well, welcome, you guys. I think everybody here knows me pretty well. But again, I'm Chloe Bellatori. I'm a relationship and communication expert. I'm a graduate of Princeton University and Pat Allen's Want Institute. I use tools that I learned from Pat. I use tools that I learned from studying Eric Berne's transactional analysis. And I use tools that I have come up with myself because, as you guys know, I've been doing this work for over a decade now. I've also written 3 books, almost 4 books, excuse me, about this work. And those are available on Amazon: How to Live, Find Love and Keep It. Those are the books that's the book I teach in my Module 1 course. I also wrote New Ways of Being: The Pain of Change, and I teach that in my modules 2 and 3 courses. So I'm going to put that into the chat now for you guys if you guys want to look into my collateral, because I also put up stuff on Instagram every day, and TikTok. I do these meetups once a week, and then but I'm only going to be doing one more this year, so this is the second to last one. So welcome. And then I'm going to be regrouping and just refreshing for next year. Okay, so transactional analysis and androgynous semantic realignment. These are the 2 modalities that I draw from a lot. Transactional analysis basically says that there's 3 ways to communicate: bullying with intimidation or fear, seducing with guilt or tears, or negotiating with love. Okay, and I teach negotiating with love. Androgynous semantic realignment takes that on and takes it one step further, meaning if I start with a masculine thought, then you follow with a feminine feeling. If I start with a feminine feeling, you follow with a masculine thought. And we use this quantum mechanics of language when we're having a conflict or we're in an awkward situation like first dates, so that we avoid conflict and power struggles. Okay. Now, it sounds simple, and while it is simple, it can also be really challenging doing these things. And this work is meant to trigger you, as some of you guys know. So that's also what I help people with, is once you are triggered, how do we move past those triggers? How do we open up to new ways of being? Because it isn't a painless process. It is a painful process and an extremely rewarding process. So you get both. And that's kind of the nature of life here on Earth, right? There's no catastrophe without a silver lining, and there's no victory without a shadow. And so understanding that duality is something else that I help people with, because sometimes the expectation is, oh, I'm going to do this work, I'm going to get in a relationship, I'm going to get that job, I'm going to have a baby, whatever it is, and then I'm going to be living a pain-free life. And sometimes that's not even articulated, but that's kind of an unspoken expectation, and that never happens. So what we go for is the productive pain of change rather than the pain that change needs to take place. So as you guys know, my expertise is in relationships and communication. The most successful relationships are those that are balanced between masculine and feminine energy. Again, that duality that all of us have. We are all of us masculine. We are all of us feminine. But it's that balance that we try to achieve both within us and in our relationships that make us successful. Balance really is a key to life in a universe based on duality, which is what we live in, right? We have night and day, we have black and white. Everything here is, we have on land, in the ocean. Everything is and we have all the gradations in between, right? Um, and so this work, these tools really help us navigate that duality that we find inherent in life on earth. Now, when we talk about problems in relationships, what we're really talking about is childhood trauma, whether you had trauma with a big T or small t, something happened to you that separated you from your innocence. And the things that happen to us between the ages of 0 and 12 are especially powerful because of the critical development windows that they occur in. Excuse me. And often what happens is that we have to sacrifice our own authenticity for attachment to the people who own the refrigerator so that we can survive. Because human babies aren't very good on their own, right? The problem occurs when we take these strategies that we learned in childhood, that we understood to be existential truths, and move them into our adult life and specifically into our romantic relationships. And that's where they really don't work. And they sabotage us and tend to recreate the scenarios in childhood that gave us so much pain. We may be consciously trying not to recreate these things, not to marry your dad, not to marry your mom. And then we end up doing it because the repetition compulsion in humans is so strong. And we are doomed to repeat that which we don't understand. So a lot of my job is bringing awareness to your decision making. Why are you making certain decisions? And if we can open that up and see that there are other options, other ways of being in life. Because often we are our own worst enemies, and nothing feels worse than when we betray ourselves. Um, so that's what I help people with, balancing that feminine and masculine energy that often becomes out of balance as a result of childhood trauma. Okay. Meaning, so the archetypes on that is basically women becoming Wendy's and becoming precociously related, right? Um, becoming overly responsible at a young age. And then the archetype for men is Peter Pan, which is the opposite, not taking on responsibility, not getting respect, never growing up. Okay. And so these are the basic archetypes that we this is obviously a simplification, but these are basic archetypes that many of us have as a result of being pushed into ego dystonia in childhood. Okay. Brief explanation of what feminine and masculine are, because this is often misunderstood. And by the way, you don't have to be a woman to be feminine. You don't have to be a man to be masculine. As I said, we are all both. Okay. So we have both of these sides within us. But what we want to do is use the side that is going to serve us the best and is aligned with our authentic energy in any given moment. Okay. So we have the feminine side, or the right side of the brain, the yin energy, which is passive, patient, and vulnerable. It is receiving, it is spiritual, creative, feeling, sentient, sensuality, sexuality, spirituality, magic. These are the domains of yin energy. Okay. Then we have the masculine, yin yang energy, the left side of the brain. This competitive, conquering, and controlling. This the world of ideas. Most of us are in our masculine at work, and we live in a very masculinized society. So a lot of us are very focused on work and achieving and making money. Masculine energy is very much of the world, whereas feminine energy is in the world to make it fun, but it's not of the world. Masculine energy is taking care of, giving, nurturing. Okay. So these are the two hemispheres that we have in our brain, the two sides of ourselves. Carl Jung expressed it as the anima and the animus, right? And women are very sensitive on the outside, but very strong on the inside, right? Again, that duality. And men, and this is Carl Jung's work, men are very strong on the outside and very sensitive on the inside, okay? But it's bringing these energies into balance again within yourself and in your relationships that leads to consciousness, which is kind of the goal of being on earth, right? Is becoming more aware, becoming more conscious, evolving, healing. Um, so it's that balance that is the definition of consciousness. Um, and that's why I call my program Chloe's Consciousness Training, because that's what we're aiming for. A lot of this work is different than what you find in traditional emotive therapy when people go out to look for mental health. They're often put into emotive therapy in which they have an area forum to express themselves and express their feelings, and that's nice, and they get reflected back. But they don't necessarily get tools to change their life. And so that's what I love about this work, is that there are tools, there are things that we can do. It's all driven by you guys, on what you guys want and how to get what you want. That is literally what Pat's school is called, the Want Institute. Okay. So it's really driven by what you guys want and then the best way that you can achieve that. So now I'm going to open it up to questions, which is my favorite part, as you guys know. And you can ask me about relationships. You can ask me about anything I've said so far. You can ask about dating. I help people a lot with dating and profiles and languaging so that they can put their best foot forward. Family relationships, work relationships, communication problems, conflicts. You guys know I also love to get your updates, to hear how you're doing with this work, because that's a really important part, is to come back and share as we move along. Because there's a lot of the devil's in the details. And so it really helps to hash things out and see where the holes are. Okay, Lee. Excuse me.
Can you hear
Hi,
me?
Lee. Yes.
Hey there.
Welcome.
Good to see you. I just had a quick update for you tonight.
Okay.
And I last week I shared I I went to the Halloween party and met several people, and I on Friday night, late Friday afternoon, I had a date with the gal that was in the Marilyn Monroe costume.
Oh, right. That was the one you like. Yeah.
And we had a wonderful time. We went for a coffee walk in the park and had a bite to eat after, and it went really, really well. However, after a couple of phone calls, she had to go to a show to meet a friend to see some show, and I had planned to come back and meet a couple of friends uh, at the brewery anyway, but um, after we met and we talked on the phone a couple days, we had some phone calls, and she just decided that the distance was just too much. She lives down in an area called Dana Point, which is kind of like halfway between here and San Diego. So it's a long drive. So, and I agreed. I mean, I told her I'd be willing to go down once a week and hang out, but she just felt like the distance was going to be too much. And this happens a lot. And I'm getting past it. I'm pretty much accepting the fact that that's going to be a deal breaker for a lot of people. Um, but that's it. I mean, I had a lovely
Okay.
time. She was a great person. We had a lovely time together. The attraction was definitely there, but she just said she couldn't do the distance. So that's kind of where we stand. And I'm hoping once I get back on my feet with this, just I've been feeling a little bit of a cold this week, but I'll be able to get back into karaoke again and start connecting again. But so I don't know if you have any wisdom or insights, but I mean, not really a question.
Okay.
I'm really proud of myself for, you know, I'm doing this right. I feel like these tools are really helping me, you know, avoid the train wrecks. It usually within 1 to 2 dates, I know what I'm dealing with,
So great. You're saving
and
so much time.
time and money and everything and
Yeah.
heartache. And I mean, even though I was very disappointed, I was hopeful we could maybe see each other again. Um,
Did anything untoward happen, or do you think she's being genuine?
she's being very genuine.
Okay, good.
I can tell. It's yeah, and I told you about my spreadsheet. I got like a calculator thing where it's like you're trying to get 60 to 70% of the qualities.
Right.
And she had like 56%, and I just met her. So these people are out there. There
Yeah.
are really great matches with high percentages that they do exist. It takes time to find them,
Yes.
you
And
know.
you're building. Every time you do these things, you're building your confidence, you're building up your masculinity,
Yes.
you're getting closer. It's not for nothing. So I'm glad to hear you appreciating your own effort, because that's really the key, because eventually you'll meet someone. Eventually it will line up.
Eventually, I hope so. I mean, I am very tempted, Chloe, to make someone I live in the South Bay. So I'm hopeful that, maybe I just need to make that geographic, boundary and say, this is the area I need to focus on. And if someone shows up, I will have to really think about becoming vulnerable and opening up, because it's quite a commute to see them through traffic and back.
Right. Right.
You know,
Right.
but I am proud of myself. I'm thankful for you. It's helping me leaps and bounds. I mean, I'm not going out with many people, but I am meeting a lot of people, and I'm taking my time with it, and it's helping me gauge the potential triumph and potential disaster, and steering clear of the potholes. And
Yeah. I mean, I'm hearing that you're happier with the dates that you've been going on, even though nothing's like turned into a relationship yet. The overall, the dates are going better.
I think so. Well,
Yeah.
ironically, there was a date about 3 weeks ago that from the karaoke group, there's a gal who she qualified because 3 times I'd met her in real life, and there's lots of smiling and flirtation, and she
Hmm.
responds to the everything. And we went down and met for drinks and a bite to eat. And it was kind of like, oh, I used the description like carrying around 50-ton weights on my shoulders
Right.
she was a good person, but when I'm with her, I feel this weight on my shoulders. I'm like, this isn't going to work. I sense like it should, I should feel relaxed and comfortable and free flowing. I shouldn't feel like I've got baggage on my back, like I'm being
Hmm.
weighed down. And I felt that with her. And so I had to leave. I had to cut the date off.
Good. Yeah.
And do you remember my friend Dale who came to the group
Yes.
several weeks ago? He is doing fantastic. I think he met a young lady who I saw her Halloween night after the Halloween party. I met him at one of the karaoke spots and met his date for the night. And I'm like, man, you have really found a lovely person. They were dancing. He can dance like swing dance, and
That helps. Yeah.
he's a really good dancer with like old style dancing. And it's so charming to see them together. I said, man, Dale, if I hope this works out for you, because
Oh, that's so
she seems
good.
so great. And, so he's doing great. Last we talked, and, I just, I'm trying to reinforce the fact that, there will be another day and things will turn around for all of us. I think it's just, I love your phrase, Chloe. There's a lid for every pot.
Yes, there
And
really is.
and when I hear that phrase, I'm like, really? For me, there's a lid for my pot. I mean, really? Because I don't, it's like, I wish there was. I mean, it's sometimes hard for me to visualize that, but I love that analogy, because I'm like, it gives me a lot of hope.
Good.
But that's all. That's my
Good.
update. Thanks for
Okay.
letting me share. I'm doing fine otherwise. And I thank you again for the group.
You are so welcome. And I am happy to hear you are, moving through these dates with such grace. Okay. Okay. Who's next? Any other questions or comments or updates? Um, Kiara.
Hi, how are you,
Hi.
Chloe?
I'm good, thank you. How can I help you?
So, you know what? I've been actually thinking, and I know you said that these tools can be used like not just, in relationship wise. So I wanted to know if I could ask you a question about friendships and family ships, I guess.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
Okay, awesome. So I'm wondering how would I approach friendships and family ships if so I'm in the feminine energy or want to be, especially in a
Mhm.
relationship. And you know how, naturally people are more feminine or more masculine just naturally. So
Yes.
I have people in my life who are more feminine and I have people in my life who are more masculine. And two people in particularly that I wonder, not that there's arguments, but like say there's disagreements. How would I come up how would I approach that?
Okay,
Um
so let's give me the specifics and we'll troubleshoot it. We'll go through it.
okay, for example, I have a friend and she's feminine like me, more feelings. This made me feel we're both creative people. And when we have disagreements, should I come more with thoughts since I know she's feminine? Does it matter if I come more of this is how this made me feel? So that's the first example.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
so the sec
Yes.
oh okay. Yeah, the second example would be I don't want to say who it is, but a masculine person in my life that's more logical. So for example, I know that they're more logical and I'm obviously more feeling based. How should I, for example, I guess it could be, let me think of something. Um Losing my keys, for example. This person's frustrated that I left my keys and now it's making the schedule go awry, and then it's an argument about that. um how would I approach it to kind of solve that issue, just more productively,
Right.
or
Okay.
communicate my
Yes,
feelings?
exactly. Okay. So it's different with friends because, like you said, you could take either side.
Right.
So in that moment, decide which side you want to take. And partly
Okay.
that will be a strategic decision. If you know this person is masculine, they're going to be probably more open to you expressing your feelings than you going up against them for a power struggle, right? With your
Right.
thoughts.
Right. Makes sense.
Or you can even experiment with it. They probably won't
Right.
even notice. But, when you get really good at using these tools, you're able to employ which side will serve you the best in the moment. So with that person, it sounds like the best would be to be leading with your feelings.
Okay.
And, if you're in the midst of a conflict and he's berating you for losing your keys, I mean,
Right.
Jesus, what the hell can you do? You're human. You lost your keys. Like, unless
Right.
it's happening all the time. Like,
Right.
it's also after the fact. So there's nothing to do except find the keys, right?
Right. Right.
Um,
um yeah,
so
and
be
then I'm
wary of
sorry.
people just like heaping crap on you when there's
Yeah.
nothing you can do.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
it's like, everybody does that hot potato thing to some degree. They get upset about something, they take it out on somebody else, right?
Right.
But you really want to be cognizant of doing that because that's like one of the fastest destroyers of relationships, right? The guy gets home from, he gets fired, he comes home from work, he beats up his wife. I mean, these are
Mm.
an extreme example, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
we don't want to be doing these things and we don't want to be around people doing these things. So you have to get
Right.
like really logical and practical about it. And the guy is just like going on and on. I feel bad. You're making me feel bad. If you tell him a couple times you're making me feel bad, what do you think about stopping talking about the keys? And he won't stop, then you got to get out of the situation, you know?
Yeah. Facts. Facts. Okay, so then so if you have a friend and you're both feminine, you're saying that maybe it's good to come more with the thoughts for like the balance of energy kind of thing.
Sometimes,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean,
sometimes. Okay.
sometimes if you're really feeling you're feminine and they're feeling if it's like
Mm-hmm.
I really want to go out and meet somebody tonight. You said you'd come with me. Well, I'm not
Right.
feeling it. I feel tired and I don't want,
Right.
in a situation like that is you got to agree to disagree.
Okay.
Things aren't always going to be resolved.
Right.
But there are issues that obviously are too important. You can't agree to disagree. Like, are we going to rob this person? I always say if you have to call a doctor, a lawyer, or a policeman, please do so. But other
Yeah.
things, anything other than that is usually negotiable.
Right.
Or you just agree to disagree. So, with girlfriends, it can go either way. You can try a mutual cherishing and see if that works. If she's a little more feminine, it might behoove you to take the masculine side, because just in the interest of communication. Where do you want to eat? I don't know. Where do you want to eat? You know what I mean? Like, somebody's got to take control. Somebody's got to say, I want to eat at PF Chang's. How do you feel about that? You know what I'm saying? So, that one you kind of have to feel out a little bit with friendships, especially with women. But there are so many masculine women around too. So, I find for a lot of friendships, that you're talking about a girl who's pretty feminine, so it's different, but I often am able, in my own experience, to take the feminine because I'm surrounded by masculine women. You know what I'm saying? So it's really about what strategy you want to employ, what you think will serve you and will, get what you want out of it. Does that make sense? Okay, let me unmute you.
Yes, sorry, I had some background noise, so I had
That's
muted
okay.
myself for a little bit. But yeah, it makes sense. I'm just looking at different ways how I can apply it in my life, because I feel like sometimes I'm coming out of standstill with certain, certain what do you call it? Not arguments, but just disagreements,
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I appreciate it.
Okay. I mean, if you want to throw an example out, we can work on it. But if that's enough, then
Yeah, that was definitely one of the things that had happened with the keys. And then just simple disagreements on with friendships, like this made me feel a certain way, but then the other person is like, well, that made me feel like this. And it just seems like it's everyone's feeling, a certain way. And then it's like,
right.
well, okay, you feel the way you feel. How can we say that each other is wrong for feeling the way we feel?
Exactly. So you're experiencing how that there's that power struggle for
Yes.
sympathy. Right.
Yes, like you said that I remember you said that the power struggle for sympathy is like a fight for who's the most sad, pretty much, who's the most, feeling the most. So, yeah, I think definitely I'll probably try coming more at my thoughts though with the more feminine. I want to see how that works. I'll definitely play
Okay.
around with it.
Yeah, play around with it. Because it could be different for different people. And be also aware a lot of times people are saying, well, I feel like you're an asshole. That's my truth.
Right.
That's not a
Right.
feeling. Okay. That's a judgment and a thought and a statement.
Everything.
So be aware of people saying, I feel like, even though we all do it, because that usually is preceding a thought, not a feeling.
Right.
So sometimes that will throw people off because it's kind of an act of narcissism, because people don't do it consciously necessarily, but you're really, when you say, I feel like you're an asshole, you're really trying to take up the feelings and the thoughts.
Everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's not fair. So if you
Right.
can try to parse that for yourself and kind of identify what the other person is saying, and then you can, for example, if somebody says, well, I just feel like you're ignoring me and
Right.
it doesn't feel good. So you could take it either way. You could say, well, I'm not ignoring you, and what can I do to make you feel better? Right. Um, or, you could say, well, I feel, ignored too, or whatever it is, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it's just you can either start with their thought or you can start with their feeling, but it works best if you come in with the complementary, So if you
Yeah.
want to respond to that as saying, oh, just I want to respond to her feeling bad, or do you want to respond to, oh, well, I didn't do that? You know what I'm saying? So just,
Yeah, it depends.
try to keep it
Okay.
discreet though, so that you're not drowning,
Okay. When you say discreet, you mean keep it like short
No,
or
like separate,
oh,
in a
separate from
sense, like just in your own mind, at least recognize the difference between the thoughts and the feelings, because people
okay.
will really throw you off that way. I had a client recently who had a conflict with somebody in her apartment complex laundry room.
Mm.
And she went in there, and the neighbor, with so many arguments are about these communal laundries. I
Oh God, I
tell
almost
you
wanted
how
had one
many.
myself.
Yeah. So I've
Today.
dealt with this a lot, but somebody was in there moving her laundry around, and so she was like, well, I was doing my laundry, and so the girl says, you know what, I'm really glad you came in here. Of course, it's two girls. You came in here because I feel like you think you own the laundry room.
Oh.
So it's like, well, that's not a feeling, right? That's
Right, right.
a thought. But she's obviously feeling upset. So my client was like, okay, well, that's a thought, but okay, well, how do you want to move forward? Because I have, my laundry here as well, you know,
Mm.
and just kind of like rolled over it, because she's not going to be cherishing this woman's thoughts. I mean, this woman's feelings in the laundry room when she expressed a thought
A
as a
thought,
feeling,
yeah.
you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
each situation is different, but knowing the difference between thoughts and feelings is like the first step, is identifying that and then choosing your strategy from there.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You are so welcome. Okay. What about you guys? Yeah. Raul or Adrian, do you guys have any questions? Anything you want clarified? No? Yes? No? Oh, Lee. Yes, Lee.
Hi there. I have a quick
Okay,
question.
yeah, please.
Schedule for, next week did you say next week is the last meeting before
Yeah.
Thanksgiving?
Yeah, for this year.
No. Then guess what? I won't be here next week. I have a business meeting in San Francisco. I'm going to be all up in San Francisco, up in Oakland all day, and I won't be back in time for the meeting. So I guess this is the last time I'll get to chat with you guys until your next meeting, until next year, I guess.
Oh,
So, because then Thanksgiving is the week after next, right?
right. And then
So,
we're into the holidays.
well, I just wanted to say thanks again, and I guess I'm looking forward to the future. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
we got to get you in module two.
yeah, I'm looking forward to that when you have that available. Just keep me posted and stuff. And yeah, thanks again, Chloe. I just wanted to say, I guess that's it. I won't be here next
Well,
week.
you could
I
still,
forgot.
can't you still tune in though? You could bring your computer.
I could use my phone, but I'll be on an airplane.
Okay.
It starts at 6 o'clock, right? So,
Yeah.
so I will be, yeah, I'll be probably on the plane unless I log in over a Wi-Fi or something. I'll see what I can do. It might be a little
Okay.
tricky, but I just wanted to say, I guess I won't get to see you next week. If you don't see me, that's why. And
Okay.
forgot Thanksgiving is week after 2 weeks
I
from.
know. Then we're just in the holidays. And
Yep.
so just,
Well,
yeah, I just want to say something about the holidays because they're coming up. And I'm going to send out a message to the group next week and just say, it's the last group and blah, blah, blah. So the holidays, just a heads up, you guys, the holidays tend to be triggering times for people. So just be aware of that. It's also, if you're in a relationship over the holidays, I really don't recommend that you break up because the holidays are such sensitive times. So if you're in a relationship now, you're set for the rest of the year. I mean, obviously there are exceptions, but I just want to encourage people not to break up with people during the holidays. Um, because right, it's very sensitive. And all holidays, yes, birthdays, typically a lot of trauma happens on these days that are supposed to be special. Again, it's that duality, expectations are high, and then, psychopaths, sociopaths, narcissists, they take those opportunities to exploit that vulnerability. So, try not to get baited into arguments of things that you know better. Try not to get into spirals. Even though I'm taking a break from Meetup, I still do see clients over the holidays. And it's funny actually. Some people, like, I don't hear from them all year, but every year on the holidays they show up. So you guys know how to reach me, through my website or through Instagram or even through Meetup. So if you do have a crisis, feel free to reach out. I'm not disappearing completely.
But your next meeting will be in January? Do you know the day in the first
No, I
Thursday?
haven't. No, I haven't set that up yet. I'm gonna,
Okay,
take the time to kind of regroup and refresh and maybe
sure.
change some things around. We'll see.
Okay.
But as of now, I'm planning on definitely coming back in January. So yeah, I will miss you guys too. But it's kind of a natural slowing down, and as you know, we need to celebrate our yin side, and that means resting sometimes. Okay.
Thanks.
You are welcome. Okay, well, if you guys don't have any more questions, I'm going to wrap it up a bit. In relationship or single. I should for YouTube. Yeah. Oh, okay. Are you following me on YouTube? Okay, yeah, I will. That's a good idea. I actually was going to do something soon about not breaking up during the holidays. So I'll do something on it. I usually do. If you go through my collateral, you can find some stuff definitely on Instagram about it. But okay. Okay, cool. Okay, you guys. Well, you know how to reach out to me if you need me. And hopefully I'll see you next week. And if not, have a great holiday. And I'll see you in the new year. Have a good night.